Welcome to this second episode on Gnosis and Jung, discovering the inner truth on our Jungian psychology channel. In the previous episode, we explored the depths of Gnosis, revealing how they intertwine with the discoveries of Carl Gustav Jung to lead us towards the authentic reality. In our odyssey towards understanding Gnosis and its relation to the process of individuation, we unravel the etymological meaning of the term. We discover how the path of the Gnostic, with its ancient roots, intertwines with Jungian psychology to lead us towards self-knowledge and self-realization. We immerse ourselves in the two fundamental stages of Gnosis. The first, when the creative imagination opens the doors to revelation in images and types, and the second, when we plunge into the gradual deepening of revealed knowledge. We explore how this process reflects Jung's journey of individuation, where we confront our shadows and embrace our wholeness. In addition, we delve into the distinction between hylic, psychic, and pneumatic, exploring the different levels of understanding of reality and the search for inner truth. Now, in this new episode, we will delve even deeper into the heart of Hermetic Gnosis. We will approach Gnostic initiation in the form of visions and dialogues between master and disciple, revealing the secrets of the different initiatory degrees on this ancestral path to enlightenment. Get ready for an eye-opening and transformative experience. Let us continue to explore the mysteries of Gnosis and its profound influence on our lives. As we said in our previous episode, the search for Gnosis places the pneumatic in a solitary, difficult process in which there is a struggle against internal and external resistance. That is why Jesus, as a teacher, declares that when he came into the world, I found them all drunk. I didn't find any of them thirsty. And my soul grieved for the children of men, because they are blind in their hearts and have no sight. For they came into this world empty, and they intend to depart from this world empty. But at the moment they're drunk. Master Sylvanus, in Sylvanus' teachings, encourages us to resist this state of unconsciousness when he states the following: put an end to the sleep that weighs heavily on you. Begin from the oblivion that fills you with darkness. Why do you pursue darkness, even though light is at your disposal? Wisdom calls you, and yet you desire foolishness. A foolish man. It follows the paths of desire of every passion. Nothing in the desires of life, and it has gone down. It's like a ship tossed to and fro in the wind, and like a loose horse that has no rider. Before everything else, know yourself. The discovery of Gnosis entails a state of confusion, as the Gospel of Thomas warns when it says, Jesus said, "Let him who seeks keep seeking until he finds. When he finds it, he will be troubled. When he is troubled, he will be astonished and will rule over all things." The Gospel of Truth expresses a similar idea when it says, "If a man has knowledge, he receives what is his own and draws it to himself. Whoever should have knowledge in this way knows where it comes from and where it goes." Each person must be given his or her own name, that is, not the ordinary name, the one given to him or her parents, but his or her true identity. Thus, those who are children of inner knowledge acquire the faculty of pronouncing their own name. In the Gospel of Thomas, when the disciples ask Jesus, "Who is it that seeketh and who is it that reveals?" Jesus replies that he who seeks the truth is also the one to whom it is revealed. In this way, the disciple who comes to know himself will discover what not even Jesus, the teacher, can teach him. Hence, in the testimony of truth, it is said that the Gnostic becomes a disciple of his own mind, so that his own mind, that is, the depth of his psyche, is the father of truth. Hence, the disciple learns that knowledge presents itself to him in its depths in meditative silence. Therefore, everyone who follows the direction of his own depth has no need to accept counsel from others. Hence, the Gospel of Truth says, "Have a great number of friends, but not counselors." If you get a friend, don't trust them. Entrust yourself only to God as Father and friend. This fundamental idea present in the Gnostic Gospels allows us to understand, at least partially, one of the reasons why Jung, who at that time had discovered the inner truth in the depths of his psyche, did not visit the Hindu master Ramana Maharshi during his trip to India. I do not intend to delve into this controversial decision of Jung's, justifiable for some, unjustified for others. I just want to point out that such a decision would not be far from the Gnostic path, according to the attitudes of the pneumatics, as we see in the Gnostic texts. One of the most interesting manuscripts from the point of view of initiation into the mysteries of Gnosis is the Discourse on the Ogdoad and the Ennead. This text was published in 1977, when the first complete translation into a modern language, English, of all the texts in the Nag Hammadi collection was made. This manuscript allows us to understand the Gnostics' interpretation of the Hermetic tradition. This text, from Codex 6 of Nag Hammadi, is the first of 3 writings on Gnostic Hermeticism. It describes a Gnostic experience of initiation configured according to the form of the Hermetic spiritual tradition. In it, the relationship between Hermes and Tat, or Asclepius, takes the more generalized form of master and disciple. The hedimad is identified in the text as the first stage of initiation, which is equivalent to learning and reflection on the preliminary teachings, by which the spirit is purified from the psychic sheath. It has already been stripped of the influence of the body, i.e., of the material world, by the fulfillment of certain ethical and spiritual norms. The Ogdoad is the degree of self-knowledge proper to the pneumatic. The Ennead, by its secret nature, which the nous manifests, represents the highest moment of initiation, an ineffable moment of union with the divine, without intermediaries, in repose, where the Gnostic, as a member of the pneumatic community, unites himself with his brethren to the supreme divinity, thus fully fulfilling the will of the Father. The Logos within, the experience of God the Father and the Son materializes, becomes reality, in the experience of the Master and the disciple. The Gnostic is directed by the word of Hermes, after being liberated, to carry out the ascent through the 3 dimensions or instances of the transcendent or divinity. He enters into the experience of the Father, as Son, reaching the end of the spiritual quest and eternal rest. This experience is described in a systematic and progressive way, within the framework of a dialogue with the voice of the Gnostic depth in an Egyptian cultural environment. The addressee of this text must have been a Hermetic medium of great spiritual depth. The dialogue is divided into 5 parts and begins as follows. The disciple turns to the Master. "O my Father, yesterday you promised me to introduce my thought into the Ogdoad, and then to introduce me into the Ennead. You said, this is the order of tradition." The text describes a traditional order in revelation and ascent to higher knowledge or gnosis. The Master replies, "O my son, this, yes, is the order. But the promise was in accord with human nature, because I told you at the beginning of the promise. If you have each of the degrees in mind, in truth, intellection, knowledge, exists in you. In me it exists as if the power were with child. For when I conceived by the fountain that flows in me, I begot, gave birth." The disciple asks the Master what he is revealing, telling him that if he has begotten by reflection, as spirit children are begotten, then the disciple will have many brothers. To which the Master replies that yes, he is right. They are the brothers in knowledge, the pneumatics. The disciple asks the Master to introduce him to the pneumatic knowledge found in the Ogdoad and the Ennead, the 2 higher degrees of initiation. During the conversation, the disciple tells the Master that, thanks to the first initiation, which is already in the sacred books, in which he has experienced, he has overcome the deficiency that was in him, i.e., the absence of knowledge. And in order to deepen the revelation that has been bestowed upon the disciple, the Master says to the disciple, "O my son, it is fitting that with our thoughts, all and with all our heart and soul, we should pray to God and ask him that the gift of the Ogdoad may be extended to us, and that each one may receive from him what is his own. To you, verily, it belongs to understand, to know. To me equally to be able to deliver the word, the Logos, from the source that flows in me." Having passed the first 7 levels of understanding through moral effort and dedication to knowledge, he now wants to have direct experience of divine knowledge. As he is already willing and prepared to go beyond the knowledge experienced by another, expounded in the books, Master and disciple are united in prayer, to the invisible God to whom one speaks in silence. In prayer it gives rise to a kind of canticle addressing the hidden name of God, Zoxathazo, Zozazoth, a palindromic term composed of Zoe and Thanatos that means life-death, death-life, which alludes to a death and a birth, that is, an initiation. After this prayer, the Master enters a state of ecstasy. "I see unspeakable depths. How shall I tell you, O my son? How shall I describe the whole to you? I am the intellect, and I see another intellect that moves the soul. I see the one who snatches me away in a holy ecstasy. I see myself. I want to talk. A fear dominates me. I have found the principle of potency which is above all powers, which has no beginning. I see a bubbling fountain of life. I have seen. It is impossible for the word to manifest this. The whole Ogdoad, O my son, and the souls that are in it, and the angels sing hymns in silence. But I, the intellect, understand. As he contemplates his master, the disciple is also filled with ecstasy. I rejoice, O my father, because I see you smiling. And the whole rejoiced. Seeing the master as an embodiment of the divine and as a part of himself, the disciple affirms, there is no creature that can be deprived of your life, because you are the Lord of the citizens in the universe. Your providence guardianship, I invoke you, great divine spirit, who spiritually bestows rainwater upon all. And he beseeches him, O Trismegistos, do not cause my soul to be deprived of the great divine contemplation, for all things are possible for you as master of the universe. The teacher tells the disciple to pray and speak silently, asking for what he desires. When he had finished praying, the disciple cried out, My father, Trismegistos, what shall I say? We have received this light, and I myself see this same contemplation in you. And I see the Ogdoad and the souls that are in it, and the angels singing hymns to the Ennead and its powers. And I see him endowed with all his powers, which the Ennead creates, those which are in the spirit. I will lift up my prayer in my heart, for I pray to the end of the all and to the beginning of the beginning, to the generator of light and truth, to the sower of the word, to the love of immortal life. I am the instrument of your spirit. The intellect is your plectrum, inspiration. Your advice runs on me. I see myself. I have received power from you, for your love has reached us. Having reached this initiatory level of knowledge, the master exhorts the disciple by saying, I sing a hymn in my heart. Since you have attained rest, devote yourself to prayer, for you have found what you were looking for. He continues, It is fitting that your prayer be lifted up to God, and that it be written in this imperishable book. The master instructs the disciple to write down his experiences in a secret book, which is, in fact, the discourse itself, in order to guide other pneumatics. This book will tell the story of this initiatory experience guided by the master and must observe the esoteric rules that allow the transmission of the message in the appropriate religious environment. In this way, the message does not go to waste and fulfills its function of revealing the divine nature before which all illusion vanishes. The instructions are, 1. To write the book in a sacred language, both because it is the appropriate vehicle, and because this language is known only to those who are spiritually prepared to understand and follow the instructions of the text. In this way, they prevent access to the common people. 2. The book must select the appropriate materials to be engraved in the sacred language. A stone on which to engrave the Egyptian hieroglyphics, the color blue, the arrangement of the book monument, which must be in a temple, that of Diospolis, the temple of Thoth Hermes, as a symbol of the divine intellect. 3. The work should be done at the right time, Kairos, when the astrological conditions are propitious. We see here a display of Hermetic knowledge, Gnostic cosmology, alchemy represented by the lapidary, and astrology all embodied in the master and his Gnostic initiatory interpretation. 4. The sacred monument, probably an obelisk, must have inscribed on its summit the unpronounceable name of God. 5. The book monument will bear an anathema to prevent the profanation of the testimony, which can be misleading, since the book is the faithful account of sacred events and guides initiation by degrees, provided that one possesses the appropriate spiritual disposition. Hence, the final imprecation embraces the cosmic forces and the transcendent powers, because the former are at the service of the latter, as it is said in the text. I adjure whoever reads this holy book by heaven and earth and fire and water, and the 7 rulers of substance and demiurgic spirit that is in them, and the unbegotten God and the self-begotten and the begotten, to observe what Hermes has said. To those who observe the accursed, God will show them his mercy and every one of those whom we have named. The surprising thing about this text, and about the instructions that the master gives to his disciple to write down what has been revealed to him, is that it is the first Gnostic Hermetic document available. Jung was unaware of this invaluable document when he underwent an initiation similar to the one described here. He experienced, during his self-exploration, states of confusion. In fact, when Jung experienced the fantasy in which the dead were presented to him and told that they were on their way to Jerusalem to pray at the holiest tombs on January 17, 1914, and then, after a series of parapsychological phenomena at his Zurich home in early 1916, when he wrote the 7 Sermons to the Dead, he did not comprehend what he had witnessed. Jung describes it this way in his autobiography Memories, Dreams, Thoughts, that began to flow from me, and in the course of 3 nights the thing was already written. As soon as I picked up the pen, the entire spirit caravan disintegrated. The apparition was over. By this time he had already finished the drafts of the Liber Primus and the Liber Secundus belonging to his Liber Novus, also known as the Red Book. The Liber Novus, or Red Book, is a unique work that emerges from the depths of Jung's unconscious. This book, created during a period of intense personal crisis and transformation, is the fruit of his visionary experiences, dreams, and reflections during his process of individuation. On the other hand, the 7 Sermons to the Dead is the expression of the fantasies he had had during that period and represented a psychological cosmology in the form of a Gnostic myth. In these fantasies, Jung experienced the birth of a new god in the bosom of his soul. This new god, who imposed himself on his consciousness in those visionary experiences, was called Abraxas, a son of frogs. It was a god in which the image of the Christian God and that of Satan were conjured and thus symbolized a transformation of the Western image of God. Jung would not publicly elaborate on this experience until 1952, with the publication of Answer to Job. In the text Discourse on the Ogdoad and the Ennead, when the master, Hermes, addresses his disciple to write down his experiences in a secret book, he tells him the following: I order 8 watchmen to watch over him with the sun. The males on one side, on the right, are frog-faced. On the other, the females on the left are cat-faced. The watchers are 8, an expression of the intelligible Ogdoad's control over the sensible and its cosmic content, represented by the hexahedron at the base of the obelisk. The position of the frog-faced guardians on the right symbolizes the ascent and metamorphosis to be achieved. The position of the cats on the left indicates descent, all linked to the food provided by the sun symbol. As we can see, the symbol of frogs appears in both texts, in Jung's and in the Discourse. For the myth that Jung discovers in his self-exploration is, precisely, a Gnostic myth. And it is Gnosticism that is the root of the Jungian myth, that is, the spiritual tradition to which belong the visionary experiences that Jung had and that revealed to him the inner truth, the path of the Gnostic. And so we conclude our exciting journey through the Gnostic initiation and the different initiatory degrees in Hermetic Gnosis. In this episode, we've explored the depths of ancient wisdom, diving into visions and dialogues between master and disciple that reveal the hidden secrets of the mind and soul. But this adventure is just beginning. We invite you to continue exploring the mysteries of Gnosis and its impact on our lives. Don't miss our upcoming videos, where we'll continue to unravel the riddles of ancient wisdom and its relevance in the modern world. Have you been captivated by what you've seen? Has it inspired you to delve deeper into your own spiritual journey? Then join our community. Subscribe so you don't miss a single episode, and participate by sharing your thoughts and reflections in the comments section. Your participation is critical to enriching our joint exploration of these fascinating topics. And don't forget to leave your like if you've enjoyed this trip. Every interaction counts and drives us to keep sharing knowledge and wisdom. See you in our next videos, where we will continue to explore the mysteries of Gnosis and its profound influence on our lives.